Good morning, Mountain. We are live here in Warfield, Kentucky. I am Darryl McCoy. This is JJ Pruitt, and we got a right-hand man from the mean streets of Marbone Creek, Bradley Dameron. Good morning, Bradley.
Good morning, guys. It's good to have you here when I'm not in some dark hotel room in Cleveland.
Yeah, you're back. You're back with us this week. You know, you had a rough go at it. Things didn't go as you planned.
Did not, but you know what? We'll move on. We'll soldier on, and all the surgery stuff. It's coming up at a later date.
As we are sitting here, we got Christy Michael says, I live in Rock Island, Illinois. I've been watching your TV show and actively commenting, but nobody seems to respond or engage with me. Well, sweetie, we're sorry. Hopefully you enjoy this show. But as we're getting ready to get started, it's been a heck of a weekend, and we're going to talk about all that a little bit later in the show here. But we're going to let JJ get started. September 30th. JJ, what you got for us?
The year was 1927 when American baseball player Babe Ruth became the first player to hit 60 home runs in a single season. His record stood until Roger Maris hit 61 in 1961. Which that was, I mean, for him to be able to do that in 1927, I think that the next person had like 40 home runs less or something like that.
Well, he did it while smoking cigarettes and drinking beer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah, the old thing, the old timers, they always talk about how he'd come to the games on a hangover, Bradley, smoking a cigar.
Yeah, some of my favorite videos, I know a lot of it's because of the old frame rate of how those videos were filmed, is watching Babe Ruth just run around the bases.
Yeah.
He always looks so funny, looks like he's taking little stubby steps. But man, he'd smoke his cigarettes, drink his beer, and go out and hit 3 homers that afternoon.
Sounds like a good day to me, right?
He did it his way, man. It makes you wonder how he would have been if he was, actually was doing like modern training of any type.
Well, the guy may have had more nicknames than any baseball player in history.
He may have.
The Great Bambino. What was some of the other ones that you know? Like that's the main one I know.
You had the Great Bambino, the Babe, I remember in Sandlot he went through them.
Yeah,
yeah,
7 of them.
Yeah, but one heck of a baseball player, and definitely, with Babe Ruth, it really started the Boston Red Sox and Yankees rivalry. How the regrets I'd have if I was the Red Sox organization.
Absolutely. It took 88 years before they finally broke the curse.
Yep.
All I know is that, Babe Ruth was on his way. If he was never a hitter, he was looking like he could have been a Hall of Fame pitcher.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, quite frankly, one of the maybe the best all-around player to ever play, except now we'll see what happens with Ohtani, but
yeah.
But Babe had a pretty good one.
I think he'll definitely pass him if he hasn't already. But okay, so the year was 1938, the notorious Munich Agreement, in which Britain's Neville Chamberlain encouraged Britain and France to appease Adolf Hitler's demands in the hope of preventing World War II, which was reached on the day in 1938.
Well, that's pretty significant, JJ.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still unfortunate that whole situation had happened. I mean, what was it? As 6 million Jews with estimated like 10 million other tragedies on top of that.
Yep.
It's hard to believe one person could do that much damage.
It was a really dark time in history in this world, so I'm glad we got past it.
And it's fascinating to me that there's still some individuals out there that try to swear up and down that it never happened.
No, it happened.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I got one last one, which is another tragedy. The year was 1955 when the American actor James Dean, who became a symbol of the confused, restless, and idealistic youth of the 1950s, died in an automobile crash as he drove to a car rally in Salinas, California.
Yeah, there's a movie made about that. But James Dean, he was the I guess the Brad Pitt of 1950s, Bradley.
Yeah, James Dean was as big of a star as you could have had in that time period. So yeah, I mean, and that was a huge deal. I tell you, there was this whole thing. I guess still is to some extent in Hollywood. The live fast, die young type.
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah, but he, definitely one of the ones that went too early. Would have been neat to see where his life could have took him. So
Absolutely.
Here we go. 1945, also this day in history. We got Detroit future Baseball Hall of Fame first baseman Hank Greenberg smacks an AL pennant winning grand slam on the final day of the season as the Tigers beat the St. Louis Browns.
Hammering Hank Greenberg.
1949, Pirates Ralph Kiner hits 54th home run and National League record 16th home run in the month of September. So there's one. 1960, the Flintstones aired on this day.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So
I like the Flintstones. I always liked the Flintstones. Of the old cartoons, I think that's probably my favorite.
So 1961, bill for Boston Tea Party is paid by Mayor Snyder of Oregon, who wrote a check for $196, the total cost of the tea lost. It took them that many years to pay the bill off.
Well, you have to look at it. I mean, it took them a long time to pay the bill off, but after inflation and stuff, man, they got off cheap.
And why is Mayor Snyder of Oregon writing and paying it off?
Oregon's weird, Darryl.
But it's a long way away from Boston.
That's why I'm saying, man. Listen, man, that whole West Coast, they really like to waste money.
Oh, well, they did it there, I guess. The 1962, JFK sends 3,000 federal troops to University of Mississippi to quell riots protesting in the desegregation. Now, that goes with the high school desegregation we was talking about. So you're looking at, right now, a month-long riot back in 1962, again, rough situations.
Very rough situation, and stuff that needs to be taught about more, I think. When I was in school, they didn't teach about that a lot. I can't remember a lot of that, and I know they're doing better now, but even then, it needs to be emphasized, because I think sometimes people act like that's, when they talk about that, like that was.
I don't know. I would think that we learned about it quite a bit in history, maybe because, otherwise I don't know how I would have seen so many pictures and know so much about it, unless it's just TV shows and documentaries and stuff. But you got to think, though, Bradley, in 1962, when we was a kid, 1962 was about like 1990 would be now. So it wouldn't be really history, like.
I mean, I guess, but it still was history. I guess my whole thing is, like, I don't remember being taught about it very much. It was kind of briefly, like, mentioned, like, whenever people would talk about Martin Luther King Jr. was probably about the only thing that was really mentioned at my time in school.
Yeah.
I know things change. And that was the only civil rights thing that I can remember being taught. And
I remember Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman. I did forget about Harriet
Underground
Tubman.
Railroad. And, yeah.
I did learn about Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, the 1965 LA Dodger Don Drysdale 23-12 wins 13 straight game by 7 of them he won by shutouts. So Don Drysdale. The Supremes released their single Love Child. Baseball record 1972. Roberto Clemente for the Pittsburgh Pirates right fielder doubles off Mets John Matlack to become the 11th Major League Baseball player to record 3,000 hits as Pirates beat New York 5-0.
Oh wow!
And his last at bat, he was in killed. That's when he died in the plane crash afterwards.
Yep. that Roberto Clemente is one that, he still had a lot left in him.
He did. I mean, great, fantastic player. Already had put up a Hall of Fame career, but it's kind of crazy to think how much better he could have been.
Ethernet was invented on this day in 1980.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So how about that? Iraq rejects a truce call from Iraqi President Saddam Hussein, or Iran rejects a truce call from Iraqi President Saddam Hussein, said he never picked up the phone. And 1980, Oakland outfielder Ricky Henderson sets American League stolen base record with the 97th stolen base in A's 5-1 win over the Chicago White Sox. Breaks Ty Cobb's mark of 96 set in 1915.
The best leadoff hitter, one of the best players ever.
I agree with you 100%. Right here, 1984, New York Yankee Don Mattingly wins AL batting crown with batting .343. 1985, Howard Stern gets fired from New York City radio station WNBC AM. Let's see. Robin Givens and Mike Tyson appear on the Barbara Walters show, which is one of the most watched talk shows ever.
That's the one where she pretty much buried him, right? Like she ran him down on national TV.
Yep. I guarantee you he wished he wouldn't have went on that show. And then you go and look the shows that I like that Mike Tyson's coming out. Have you seen the one where P. Diddy tries to touch his leg?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious. Have you seen it?
He grabs his hand. And
but he literally takes his hand and he's like, He's like, we're not doing this. And he says it right there on national TV. 1989, Nolan Ryan's perfect game broken in the 8th, but gets his 300th strikeout. Jerry Springer, tabloid talk show, debuts on this day in 1991 and changed the talk show, the history of talk show, the way things went. Back then you had Montel, Ricky Lake, all of them, but still to this day, Jerry Springer, the longest running talk show, they still show Jerry Springer shows on a daily basis on some channels. We've actually had quite a few people from our area be on the Jerry Springer show.
We have. I know we have. It's listen, I don't know how proud I would be to be on the Jerry Springer show, but
well, back then everybody wanted their 5 minutes of fame, and
it's a perfect way to get it. He would fly you to Chicago for free or something like that. And
I'll tell you an interesting thing. I don't even know if she still knows it, but I took one time and I called and told like when you called, they was like a line and you had to tell them like what you wanted to come on the show for, and then they would call you back if they thought it was interesting. And I called and told that my teacher in high school was having an affair with the preacher and the principal at her school, and is having a hard time telling her husband, and would like to come on the show and tell him. And they called her back. I remember it was like 2 weeks later that she was talking to somebody in class about it, and said Jerry Springer show called her. So I don't know if she ever knew who it was that signed her up. I did that, and then one time Tom Varney, it's actually Chase Varney, the quarterback, Chase Varney. I called the national or the Army recruiters and set up a meeting, and they got to a gas station, and they was calling him wanting to know what his address was. They was on their way. I set up a meeting with Tom, and they was on his way to his house, and they was at a gas station and called them, and they're like, "What? We're not signing up for the Army." And they was like, "Yeah, you called, set up a meeting, but them recruiters was come all the way here to sign him up for the Army, and they got stranded at a gas station."
No.
Yeah, not my finest moments, but then in 1992, George Brett, 3,000th career hit.
So
four hits to become the 18th to get 3,000 against the Kansas City played San Diego Padres.
And a whole gallon of pine tar.
Yep. No. Yeah. Yeah. A ton of it. And still, if you've not watched George Brett go off, you're missing something, because he puts on a show.
To be fair, there was a lot of pine tar on that bat.
A ton. The 1993 U.S. Army General Chairman, the Joint of Staff Colin Powell, retires at 56.
Man, Colin Powell was probably like the last guy in that type of position that never really fell into the whole political trap on one side or the other.
No, and I always liked Colin Powell. I always thought he would have been a strong candidate for president. I thought he should have been the first black president. I
always liked Colin Powell, and I think the thing that was, I don't think though he had any desire to ever be like that. He was a military guy, and that was his thing. But I appreciate, I don't know if it ever came out, or if it did, it was after he retired. People didn't even know if he was a Republican or a Democrat. And I think for him in that role, that is the perfect way to be. And he was just, I think everyone respected him, to the highest,
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I was always a big fan. And, I think both sides of the aisle like Colin Powell. Now, 1997, this may interest JJ.
Let's hear it.
Hooters agrees to pay $2 million in a discrimination suit.
It's pretty. I've never been to Hooters before.
You've never been to Hooters?
Never been to a Hooters before.
JJ, Bradley, what's going on with this boy?
Listen,
have you ever been to Baby Dolls?
I plead the fifth.
Your mommy's watching.
Yeah, man.
The 1997 Tim Raines, Derek Jeter, and Paul O'Neill are first to hit 3 consecutive homers in the postseason.
Oh, wow.
And I remember watching that one clear as day. I remember that one, Bradley.
Yeah, I don't remember it clear as day, but I do remember hearing about that. I may or may not.
It was right around the time I became a Yankees fan. I switched from the Reds to the Yankees, so I definitely remember it. 2020, Spanish government orders a COVID-19 lockdown in Madrid and surrounding areas after a rapid rise in cases.
I wonder if that was one of the first places to do a lockdown.
I don't know, but do you remember or I seen something on TikTok today where some rappers rapped about COVID-19 in 2011.
I'd be interested to hear some of those songs.
Yeah, that they said something about the world's going to shut down because of COVID-19. He said, "Yes, I said COVID-19."
Yeah, I'd have to hear that.
Yeah, but that rounds out everything, JJ. So now get to the birthdays.
I'll tell you what, I've been looking for the last 2 hours to find some celebrity birthdays of people we might have heard of, and I've only found one so far.
Oh,
T-Pain.
T-Pain's
birthday, but every one of these are YouTube and TikTok stars. I don't know who Nisha Noel is. I don't know who Steve Terryberry is. I don't know who Chantel Jeffries is. Noel Dizel, Allie Jade, an Instagram star. I don't know any of these people.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm not cool enough to know who any of those people are.
If you see one on
Williams, Levi Miller, Mike Sherm, Rallo Rodriguez, Nathan Arenas, Hayden Hain. No. Yeah. Kieran Corkin, Macaulay McCorkin's brother.
Oh, okay.
He's 41 today. So I know him. And other than that,
well, I tell you, about the only YouTuber I know. I guess everyone knows like a couple of them, but like, you ever see Matt Mitchell? Guy does the SEC roll call.
Yeah.
That's quality content. Just
I know.
Find that. Go find that every week. I look for the SEC roll call.
Well, here we go on Book of Faces.
Let's
see. We got. I'll take this. I think it's Kiara Thornsberry's little brother, Cammie. So, Cammie Thornsberry, it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Cammie. Rosa Moore, she's a big fan of our shows here. We see her a lot on our shows. Happy birthday. Then we got, let's see, Ashton Evans. The Ashton Evans used to be a Lenore Ranger, Chapmanville Tiger, and now he's a Belfry Pirate. So Ashton was named the Soccer Player of the Year last year.
Really?
Yep.
That's impressive.
And
do we normally cover soccer games or?
Very rare. We've done, I think, 5 maybe in the history of D&D. It's so hard to cover soccer because you kind of have to have a bird's eye view, and the other things, getting people knowledgeable to call it. And then last birthday we got, there's only 3, so not a heavy birthday day. But Bradley, you may know this young man, Logan Lundy. Do you remember that name?
Yes, I do. Logan Lundy, fantastic football player from Raceland, and also a hero. Rescued someone from a fire a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I definitely, that was true. I forgot about that.
He did. I spoke to him about that. I can't remember all the details right now off the top of my head, but he did help rescue someone from a fire. He was on his way to school, I believe, and saw the house on fire and helped get a lady out. Logan was always just great at Raceland, and also that just shows what kind of human being he is as well.
Well, Logan Lundy, I think one of the best quarterbacks that we've ever had in the D&D era.
A winner, man.
Yeah, the kid was unbelievable, and so I'm a big Logan Lundy fan.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so here we go. Let's get to our first commercial break so we can get started. We got a load of stuff to talk about, guys. Tell your friends, call your neighbors, tell them, turn it over to the Startup Morning Show because it's about to get good. Come right back and join us here in just a second after a quick word from our sponsors. Award-winning tire shop that focuses on customer service that's family-owned and family-operated. Stop by and see our friends Jeremy and Chasta at Punk's Tires. If you have a hectic work schedule and you're looking for a non-stressful, convenient way to buy tires, take advantage of Punk's Tires Appointment Saturdays. If they don't have the tire you're looking for, they guarantee it to have it the next day. Punk's Tires can take care of all your needs in tires, wheels, wheel alignments, brakes, rotors, minor mechanic work, and more. They'll treat you like family from the second you walk through the door. Come see us in Virgie, Kentucky, or give us a call at 606-639-TIRE. That's 606-639-TIRE.
Are now available at Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance Little Flower Dental Clinic. Same day crowns. No more temporary impressions and wearing temporary crowns. Same day crowns. Now available at Little Flower Dental Clinic. We also offer cleanings, fillings, extractions, root canals, and bridges. Call for an appointment today at 487-9505. We accept most major insurances, Medicare and Medicaid, and even a sliding fee scale. Little Flower Clinic, your medical home in the mountains.
In America. What does that mean? It means jobs. It means craftsmanship. And when it comes to Vaughan Bassett furniture, it means value. And Kemper recognizes that. That's why they've dedicated an entire gallery to Vaughan Bassett. Made in America. See the quality. And now, see the price. Come see your favorite Kemper store in Hazard, London, or Somerset.
And we are back here on the Startup Morning Show with JJ Pruitt, Bradley Dameron, and Darryl McCoy. This segment sponsored by Punk's Tires. Don't be a punk. Get your tires from Jeremy and Shasta. They are the what, JJ?
Hands down the best tire man in the business. The best tire business that you could possibly go to.
Got great workers. You go there, you enjoy your time, and you will get tires at a great price. Make sure you go see them. That's Jeremy and Shasta at Punk's Tires. All right, guys. I wanted to bring this up. This weekend, one of the big stories out of the weekend, Bradley, was on Friday. All the games was starting to get canceled, and hindsight 2020, you probably would have wanted to schedule a lot of them games on Thursday. I think a lot of schools maybe should have done that, but that's going back hindsight 2020. But it really made a mess and a mockery of a lot of things, and a lot of games got canceled. A lot of them was postponed. Some of them still being played tonight. I know Powell County plays Fairview tonight. So it was a rough situation for everybody. But remember, as much as we can complain about football here, that a lot of people down south, even some people, in our media area lost some homes and stuff, to some trees that fell and stuff like that. And a lot of people was without power. But, in Tennessee and North Carolina, our friends in our border states there, they really got hammered, guys. And, I know definitely want to ask for prayers for our co-owner here, David Jones. His daughter lost everything she owned, newly married, just had a baby. And so very tough situation for our folks down in Tennessee and North Carolina.
Yeah, I saw, and we talked before we went on the air that I knew someone as well who lost everything down in North Carolina, and it's and then I saw one of my old colleagues who used to be in the athletic department at Radford University out in Virginia. That school was half underwater over the weekend. I mean, so it's just a really rough situation, and so many people are affected. So, games and stuff, I get it. We all want to play games. We all want to get them in, but there's a lot of people dealing with a lot worse stuff right now.
I agree 100%. And so, just always try to keep things in perspective is all I can say. And we're going to get into the high school side of things, and then I want to get into some of our local fields and stuff like that here in a second. But first, we want to start, obviously, University of Kentucky knocks off Ole Miss and gets a big upset win, guys.
Really?
Where was you? Hid under a rock, JJ?
You know I'm sheltered now. Come on now.
The UK ended up 20-17 defeating Ole Miss, and Ole Miss missed a 48-yard field goal with time expired to tie the game and put it into overtime. But just a great game played by Kentucky, and now they're sitting at 3-2. The Cats are, and it's exactly where people thought they'd be at the beginning of the year, because they thought that they would lose to Ole Miss and Georgia, but instead they beat Ole Miss, lose to South Carolina,
and they almost had a shot to beat Georgia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So this Kentucky team a lot better, and I find it's hard for me to believe what's going on with Kentucky, because in that South Carolina game, I just watching the way that they lost, I didn't see any remnants of a good team in that game.
No, they look terrible.
It blew my mind how they bounced back against Georgia and then beating Ole Miss. I still don't know whether we're good or not, or whether it's flukes or what it is.
Well, speaking of flukes or whatever, Lane Kiffin. Listen, I'm not a big Lane Kiffin fan, and he threw a lot of shade at Stoops in his post-game press conference, said basically like, I didn't know we had it in him to be aggressive in that one situation, and stuff. And Lane Kiffin's lucky to still keep getting major college coaching jobs. His track record's not good. I'll just say that. He has 9 lines.
Well, I used to not like Lane Kiffin, but as he gets older, I like him a little bit more. But
I like to hate him.
I tell you an interesting story about Lane Kiffin is when he was down at South Florida USF. When he was down there, he was recruiting Belfry's Raekwon Horton, and Raekwon went on a recruiting trip, and Lane met him on the beach. Well, when Lane met him, he come up to Raekwon, and he had 2 women on each arm.
Oh, wow.
Okay, neither one of these women was his wife either. And so Raekwon's mommy called David when they got back to the hotel and said, "We're canceling the rest of this trip. Raekwon ain't coming down here." And so there's a little interesting story about Lane Kiffin and one of our mountain athletes.
That's a really interesting story.
Yeah. So but go ahead, Bradley.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut. There was a joke in there about like, maybe that would be more allowed in today's NIL, and
yeah,
something about how basketball hasn't been the same at Louisville since they got the hookers out all the way. And
no, that's true. Basketball definitely was on a higher playing field back then. And I guess a young 18-year-old, that would probably draw me to Louisville too. You got to get some perks to take you to Louisville. Now, it ain't the greatest city in the world. But as UK beats Ole Miss, check out what went down in Lexington.
They engaged in, it was baited for them to take. It was 90% of the money and the bets.
Grove Street goes wild as just a showing our UK fans showing a little bit of West Virginia in them, burning some couches. Bradley,
that's what I was saying. That looks like a bootleg Morgantown right there.
There it is. Yeah, I always said my retirement plan was opening a furniture store in Morgantown.
Listen, you get you a secondhand furniture store. Just call it nothing but couches. Just couches. That's all you need.
Just a huge win there. And then also, guys, don't know if you guys got to see, and I think I don't know if we picked it on this show, but we did on Crunch Time. I was the only one to pick Alabama. Did you guys see that game? What a game with Alabama and Georgia, as Georgia hit a big touchdown pass to go ahead of Alabama late in the fourth quarter. And then very quickly, Alabama comes right back and scores. And we're going to have the play here for you guys to look at. Let's take a look at it.
Got to have it right now. And they take a downfield shot. And the catch is made. It's Ryan Williams, still spinning free. Touchdown, Alabama. They answer in one play. 75 yards for the 17-year-old. Are you kidding us?
Listen, Ryan Williams is a bad dude. 17 years old and maybe the biggest play of the season so far. Bradley, that wasn't the only play. This kid was making plays all game long. This kid is an NFL lock, folks.
At 17?
At 17.
Wow. So when's his birthday? Like December or something? Or
I don't know.
That's crazy. I mean, you know, I thought you had to be a certain age to even be eligible to play.
But very, very entertaining game as Alabama jumps to number one because the win over Georgia. Texas drops, Bradley.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did, and I tell you, Jalen Milroe looked like he looked like a Heisman front runner, didn't he?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, Milroe looked fantastic for most of the game, except for the one interception.
Yeah, Milroe was a freak. Whenever you take and look at some of the plays, it was the entire game he was making big plays.
He was, and I mean, but that was one of those games that looked like Bama was going to kill him. I remember, like, I have a cousin who I talk with, about college football on the weekend. He's a big Ohio State guy, and I just remember messages like Bama's about going to blow Georgia out. And,
well, guys, we got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk football to probably the last 30, 40 minutes of the show. We'll go over what happened this week in football. But when we come back, we'll talk about the hardwood and talk about some of the things that happened on the hardwood this weekend. And we got a very big controversy that's stirring and stewing over in Naugatuck, and we're going to tell you about it when we come back. We'll be right back here on the Startup Morning Show.
Of Central America, head to Sal's Steakhouse. Sizzle your senses with mouthwatering steaks, juicy burgers, savory chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Sal's Steakhouse, where your taste buds will thank you. Unleash the flavor at Sal's. Taste tradition, taste the difference.
Wear a lot of hats. There are coaches, volunteers, church members, neighbors, someone who's there when you need them, especially when you need them most. That may be a lot of hats, but they're all the perfect fit. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment.
And we are back here on the Startup Morning Show. Bradley Dameron, JJ Pruitt, and Darryl McCoy here. This segment is brought to you by our friends at Quality Metal Roofing. Tell us about them, JJ.
Well, if you're in need of a good quality metal roof, or you're in need of a carport, Quality Metal Roofing is the perfect place for you to go to, and they are located in Lenore, West Virginia.
There you go, right here, hometown. Quality Metal Roofing, guys. Make sure, especially with all this weather, you want to make sure you're winterized and ready to go. So make sure you get them metal roofs on top of your home to protect your all of your I guess all the hard-earned stuff that you've worked for. And I got look at here. I got my beautiful daughter here. She just got out of bed, Bradley.
She's been saying she was going to be a special guest eventually. She finally showed up.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
She came down to say hi. She is a Warfield basketball player. So we got a Warfield basketball player on the show here. She they're out of school. It's fall break, Bradley.
Okay. So now she's joining us. She should join us for an interview here this week.
So we're getting our basketball pictures.
So you're getting your basketball pictures on Tuesday.
Yeah. Can you stay up there and take a nap while Mom goes
somewhere? Here. Here. Found it. Bye. We gotta get back to the show. All right. All right, guys. Love you, sissy. Always good to get a visit from my daughter.
Absolutely.
So, guys, Bradley wanted to tell us about this controversy in Naugatuck.
I don't know how much of a real controversy it is.
I'm just kidding, Bradley. Bradley just messaged me and said he didn't know a lot about it, not to mention it.
Well, I do, but it does play into something, though. I did think of something, though, Darryl. I know this weekend there was like some games there after the weather, and the field got tore up a bit.
Yeah, there
are some pictures floating around, and it's a shame. And I know that it's high time that they get somehow work on getting a turf field.
It is nonsense that they don't have turf in Naugatuck right now, guys. Them kids, what they're playing on there. Everybody else around them has turf, has nice stadiums, is getting, state-of-the-art scoreboards, all that. And if you go down Naugatuck, guys, if it rains one time, that season's pretty much done, for good. And here's what's happening is they played Little League there this weekend. All right. These kids are just like any other kids. They dream of one day playing on that Tug Valley football field. So this is a big deal to them. And now, because of stuff like this, Tug Valley probably won't ever let kids go back there because they wouldn't let them for years. And they played their games at Lenore in a mess there. But, they wouldn't let them for years come to Tug Valley. They finally started letting them. And then now Tug Valley hasn't even had a home game yet this year. And their field is ruined for the year.
I wouldn't say ruined, but the pictures I saw, it looked chewed up.
It's definitely. It's definitely bad.
Well, you got to think like that's for little kids. They could probably play on a field like that, but for high school kids that are a little bit bigger, I mean, that field could be considered ruined. By those standards. Well,
and here's the thing. Now you're talking about injuries, the divots, and all that was caused by this, and it's just a tough situation when you got the opposing team coming, all them people's complaining, saying they would rather forfeit than have to come back to Naugatuck. How do you think that makes our friends at Naugatuck feel? Yeah. Not very good.
And what's sad is
I saw like some people from Man, I believe, this weekend were making posts that they don't want to come back.
And I mean, and that is a bad look on the folks from Naugatuck. I mean,
you can't help it. By the way,
no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's out of their control, and now all of a sudden, they're sitting here, they got a black eye thrown on them whenever they didn't ask for this. Actually, they've asked for the exact opposite, and it's just something needs to be done. And I don't know where it starts. I know a lot of people are saying it needs to start with a new superintendent. Well, listen, this stuff's been going on for years. There needs to be a change somewhere if this stuff don't get fixed.
The main problem is you got the
main problem is the superintendent. That's the main problem. This stuff needs to be fixed. There's too many people that are sitting here, for years have begged, have said, well, we got people that will help bring money in here. We got people that, people that's got, dozers, people that's got trucks, talked about they would donate that stuff to it. Make this happen. There's a way to make it happen. And people holler, well, you can't get turf down Naugatuck because it floods. It floods all the time there. We can't go put all that thousands of dollars and it flooding. Well, guess what? Up on Wheeling Island, it floods all the time too. And guess what they got? They got turf. As you can sit there and look, there it is flooded. There it is, them cleaning it off 2 days later.
Absolutely.
This stuff has to change in Naugatuck. And, listen, I've at the end of the day, Mingo County, and I'll say it, I'll say it till I'm blue on the face. The people that run, and they do, listen, they got a great, this does not go on the board members, because the board members have been outstanding to work with over the years, and they have backed 100%. But, whenever you go and you got board members fighting against, superintendents fighting against board members, and they're trying to butt heads to get things done for the kids, that's not productive at all. And it's just frustrating. Same thing, Mingo County. In Mingo County, the only school in West Virginia that charged was Mingo County, that charged for people to come in and promote their kids.
Yeah.
That it's a tough situation. I mean, like, it's ridiculous. This is Mingo County. We should have a leg up. It's our back door. We would do stuff. We would go above and beyond for Mingo County because we got a love for this community. We got a passion for the people in Mingo County.
I live there.
That's it. Bradley, lives there. I live a rock throw from there. It's sad whenever you sit here and see them all these years continue to go through not having turf. Listen, I don't care if you get them turf or not. Bring some dozers in, fill that out, raise it up, 10, 12 foot. That way, it don't get like that. And, listen, Haiti Ford and them boys deserve a lot better than what they're getting right now. That should be number one thing on everybody's agenda, is to take and get Tug Valley a turf field up there, or at least take and raise that field up and, redo it so them boys can have something that they can be proud of. It's just, and thank God for the community members that does go down there. I know in baseball, it's Randy Lackey and all them that spend hours trying to redo their field just to make sure it's playable.
They
all the
work their
community
tails off on those fields there, just for what they have. I tell you what, I know other communities work really hard too, but I don't think any community works harder for what they have to play on than the community at Tug Valley.
No, and that's the thing. Listen, these our friends at Tug Valley, hats off to them, because they are very proud of their field, and they should be proud of it. And they work really hard to make sure every week that it's playable.
And the thing is, Darryl, it's better than it used to be. And I think that's been kind of the issue with some people who are like, it's better than it used to be. They think that means it's good enough. It's not. But
that don't mean it's fixed,
right? Just
because it's better than it used to be. And so I just, man, listen. If anybody knows, has connections, anything like that, please reach out. And we've talked to, we're blue in the face. I tell you, somebody asked me my advice the other day. What should we do to try to get the field, try to get it started where we can get a turf field? And I tell you what I would do is I would call every news organization I can, and I'd have them down there shining the spotlight on it. Is what I'd do.
It's election season, guys. Use that to your advantage.
That's 100% right there, Bradley. You hit the nail on the head right there.
I mean, we have a few followers as well. We can go down there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, there needs to be a spotlight shined on it. And listen, I know at the end of the day, I've met Dr. Branch. I've dealt with him. I really think he cares, about the community. I just think, sometimes, maybe stuff gets piled up and stuff gets pushed to the back, and, but at the end of the day, this should be number one on his list. If he does this, then all of a sudden, he becomes one of the most beloved superintendents if he can get this done.
Somebody's going to end up waiting until they win the state title this year. And then they're going to want to swoop in and save the day and be like, "Oh, wow, I made this happen."
No,
shouldn't even take that.
That's what, if they win a state title, that will go a long ways into making sure this gets done, because then people will be like, well, we do see Worth win. Guess what? There's plenty to sit there and make sure, that you're proud of right now. Them boys right now, you got really talented kids coming up. You got a great community, great home field advantage. Make this happen, and, I don't know how it gets started. And I'm sure Dr. Branch is, if he could snap his fingers and get it there, I'm sure he would. But, and I'm sure there's roadblocks in his way. I've been at these board meetings whenever it's come up. I know, it's almost like every time it comes up, it's like, not again. Here's these people wanting turf again. That's kind of, the feeling, because people have been begging for it for so long. But, whenever you sit there, it just, Dr. Branch is, I know if he could, he would do it. Like if he could snap his fingers and do it. But, I think it's such a process to go through. And I don't know, with everything that he's got piled up, that, he puts that number one in line, and, he may think other things are more important, and they may be, but this right here is something that would bring a lot of, think of how many tournaments you could play on that field, how much money you could bring into into Mingo County if you could host games like that, but you can't because of the condition that the field's in right now.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something, Darryl, and just a different sport there. I can remember when Tug Valley won the AA boys basketball title in 2012. The very next year opened with a bunch of board members showing up, giving out equipment for their photo op or whatever. I know it's a lot of different people and all that now, but don't be that type of board. Don't be that type of, be proactive instead of like, oh, now that they've won, instead of waiting, if they do win the state title this year, don't be then come by. I mean, obviously they'll take it, but I don't know. It always makes you kind of feel a little bit skeezy whenever they show up for the photo op afterwards, instead of being a part to help, moving toward the goal.
That's it, and and it's tough, there too. I mean, listen, and I'm not putting it all.
No, it's not all on them.
It's not all on the superintendent, but things could be a lot, some get out and feel the community is all I can say is, feel a part of the people. And I think that's partly right now is part of the problem down there is the people don't think, that, at least let the people know that, you're fighting for it just as hard as what they are. That would cure a lot of things. But, I think right now that the people feel like that they, like the board's above them, or not the board, but, think that, they ain't being heard is the big thing, and, be vigilant with the people. Tell them what the roadblocks are. Tell them what we can do to make sure this gets done, because we've got to get this done for them boys there in the community. I don't care what it takes. This needs done.
They're losing athletes to other schools because of this.
I mean, 100%. I know they are. You are spot on, and here's the thing. If you're a big time player, what sucks is, now you're going out worrying about injuries because of what, should I go play on this field, where I'm likely to get hurt? It's just a tough situation at what they have to deal with there. And Gideon Jarvis is tuning in. Gideon says, preach it. Granted, Mingo Central was donated by a donor. However, where's the equality for all of our Mingo County kids when Mingo has what they do and Tug has the facilities they do. Don't accept a gift of that size if you can't match those facilities for all Mingo County kids. Now, that, at Mingo Central, I get why Mingo Central has everything they got. Is because, they come along, later in life, all them consolidated schools went together. So you had all them different communities that come together. And of course, one of the big things was Gilbert, and you had Buck Harless involved in it, so, I get why they have what they have. So, this has nothing to do with Mingo Central. Listen, I'm happy, tickled to death that Mingo Central has what they have, and I hope they get even more. But it still don't fix why Tug Valley don't, because I know that this community, there is no community like Naugatuck. I promise you that. When they go to state tournaments, when you really get drenched in it, this community, nobody loves their school like Naugatuck loves Tug Valley. That is all that they got, so they're very prideful and very proud of it. And, for it to, name me one other field, that's worse than what it is. You go to Chapmanville, Logan, West Side, everybody has nice fields now, except for Tug Valley. It's not fair to these boys. Let's get this problem fixed. And David says, everyone always got to mention Mingo Central when stuff like this comes up. Do better. We got to work hard to get anything up there. People act like we get everything. Y'all have no clue what we've done, and we get on our own. I agree. That's what I'm saying. I know the situation up at Mingo, so that's why I said this has nothing to do with Mingo. This, they work their tails off to get what they get up there. I've seen them people.
What would they have really if that one individual didn't step up and donate for that football field?
They would have similar facilities to what Tug Valley has right now. It would just be maybe a little bit nicer because it's newer, but
and here's the other thing: Mingo Central's up on a mountain. Let's not act like Mingo Central don't face their own adversities. Have you been up there during the winter time? Try in a windy ball game up there when the wind's blowing up on top of that mountain. They got their own obstacles to overcome up there. So it's really Mingo County, period. Both these schools are fighting tooth and nail, and things, need to be fixed. These schools, Mingo County is something to be very proud of. Mm-hmm. And we've got to get these facilities updated there at Tug Valley, and listen, Mingo Central, continue doing what they're doing, because listen, they need lights. Mingo Central is very close to being something where everybody in the state's looking at Mingo County as, oh wow, what do they got up there? Let's not take away from what they got up there either. Let's continue building that, because that right there is something that would benefit the whole county.
And I know David and the crew there continue to work hard every day to get stuff up there. And it's I don't want it to be, and I don't want people to think of it like a Tug Valley versus Mingo Central situation. It shouldn't be thought of that way at all. Sometimes right now, and I see David Thompson there from Tulsa. He's telling us in Tulsa, he's right about Tulsa too, but that's in Wayne County. That's they deal with some of that too. I think these school boards and stuff and these areas need to understand how vital a turf field is nowadays. It's just, a grass field's great if you have, but at the same time, it gets chewed up.
It does. It gets 100%, chewed up. And Jeremy Pinson says, "Good morning, fellas." Stephen Castador says, "If the board would for it, then would pay for it, then no one can stop it." David Jones, or Gideon Jarvis says, yes, last year the board $1.7 million set aside for a CTE building that can no longer be afforded. Why not use those funds or the surplus funds that the county seen last year in the physical year to build the turf field? There you go. There's a start. David Thompson says Tulsa don't either. Their field is in the same shape as Tug Valley.
Yep.
Said Mingo will soon need returfed, and I fully hope they get it 100%. Want all for Mingo County kids to have the absolute best possible. Wayne County don't have turf, but they said it would get it. They all get it. So, and Wayne, that's another place that's a muddy mess when it rains down at Wayne. At Wayne County, not to even start on Wayne County, but that's a whole nother mess that that's got to be fixed up there. And and I know it's hard to get these funds, but like Gideon said, if there's 1.7 million out there, and I don't know anything about that situation, but if they are, then that would be a great start toward that. And Mingo needs returf. That's that's the one thing they got to get fixed. I know Coach Jones worked really hard. I was there. I seen the work he went through and the school went through to get that scoreboard up there, that new scoreboard that they got. Then you take and whenever you take and like Mingo, the good thing about them, I remember a couple of years ago where Mingo allowed Tug Valley to play their Little League game up there. And they may have had, I know that they would let them play a high school game up there if they needed.
Well, Mingo Central, Tug Valley, before Tug Valley got their field to where it is now, and they weren't allowed to host playoff games.
Yeah.
So I was actually, whenever I was on the staff.
I don't think they still can, Bradley.
Huh?
Can they now? Because I know last year
now. They can now.
Last year they couldn't because the bleachers wasn't regulated.
They were they can host them now, and they did last year.
Yeah.
But I can remember though whenever they did go up to Mingo Central when they went on a run and made it to the Class A semifinals that one year. It was all done up on Minor Mountain. They played all those games up there.
See, Gideon Jarvis says Wayne County voted it down a couple of years ago. Well, shame on that, because you should never vote anything down better for the kids. And like I said, Mingo Central, I know Coach Jones would welcome if things got bad and Tug couldn't play a game, he would welcome it up there. But guess what? That's still not home, Mo. At the end of the day, these Tug Valley people, and I do know that, they've Coach Jones has personally reached out and let them play Little League games, stuff like that up there. But, we've got to get Tug Valley fixed. That's just plain and simple. It's got to be done. The folks at Wheeling, has showed that when it floods, these turfs can hold up to that, so, let's get started and let's get it on there. And even if you don't get turf, guys, listen, I personally like grass fields. I think they are a true gem that's still left in our communities. These grass fields, with these grass fields, like that one there, you go in there, Bradley, and raise it up 10, 15 foot, then, a lot of them issues, and I don't know, too, whether or not that's even logical, because that could push water over on to the community, onto the road and stuff like that. So I don't even
think about the stadium and stuff too, like the stands and all that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could raise all that, but I don't know, like if you do that, will it push water out on the road and stuff and then cause a whole nother issue? I don't know all them logistics, but I just know we need to fix this. We need to get them guys some turf up there. And
I'm just saying, people talk about it being a poor area. I've seen a lot of poor areas where there's turf.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. Chrissy said, I think it was the levy that they voted down in Wayne County. So David Jones says Don Blankenship and Buck Harless, the best two contributors to our area. Yep. They are gone. Right, that David Jones hit the nail on the head. That right there, when Buck Harless, Don Blankenship, when they was around, everybody got good stuff. Everybody, and that's what happened when Cole went away. A lot of that, and I know Buck Harless was more in the lumber than Cole, but but whenever them two went away, that took a big hit. And listen, Justin Markham does an amazing job. Mingo Central, when they first started, he had a big part to do with everything up there. But guess what? Our community ain't the same. He ain't living the life that he used to live. So it's very tough, whenever you don't got them kind of people to do it. That's why the community has to work together, and we have to find these funds, find ways to get these funds in here. But I listen, like I said, Mingo Central, they need a ton of upgrades up there too, and Tug needs that turf field. Let's do better for Mingo County.
You know what? My hope is for all the schools involved is that with Mingo needing the new turf here in the next few years, I would think, and Tug, needing that turf, is maybe everyone in Mingo County get together and pass a levy.
Yeah,
that's it. Like I think if it benefits all the communities, then maybe there might be a levy and there might be a way to work with each other there. Hint, coaches who are listening, use that like, oh, well, Mingo needs to be returfed soon. Tug needs turf. Let's see if we can do a levy to get some upgrades going on in both these schools there. Well, same for every county, get together, try to work with each other. Don't fight each other. Work with each other to get stuff done.
That's it. Gideon Jarvis said, love East Ridge's grass field, but it's obviously kept up and not played on a million times in a couple months and practice on additionally. Said adequate practice field, sprinkler system, and new grass would be a lot better. And and that's what we'll visit this later on in the week. But this is just a tough situation. Let's make sure this gets done for them. For Mingo County. And like I said, it don't just stop at the turf field there. Mingo County's got a lot of stuff that they need to get up there. Listen, at the end of the day, the parking lot up there, things need to be better up there with that. The road going up there, it's just, there's a lot of things in Mingo County that needs fixed. And guess what? When Cole went away, a lot of that went away. So remember, election time's coming up. Remember that when you go to the polls, stop voting for people that don't care about your community or have no interest in your community. Listen, I'll say this at the end of the day, whenever when you vote for people that are against coal, when your community is on coal, that's where things start with, and the way to do that is find who has your same interest and vote for them kind of people, and listen, at the president's race, vote. I'm not telling people how to vote, but listen, the Republicans, they're coal, oil, stuff like that. Democrats, wind, solar. Guys, what does wind and solar going to help us in our area? Just remember that when you go to the election.
And stop voting for people who only come around once every 2 or 3 years whenever it's time for you to vote and vote and telling you to vote for them and then voting for them.
Yeah.
And then they disappear for a year or two and don't do anything that they said that they're going to do. And then they come back to try to get you to vote for them once again. That's one of our biggest problems is the exact same people win all of the time. They don't do anything. And then they come back and somehow persuade us to vote for them again.
Well, like I said, it all starts at the election box. Mm-hmm. So, guys, you want to get things done, that's where to get it.
Absolutely.
Said David Jones says, I'm sure if we can come together, get a meeting with Don, Tug, and Mingo could be taken care of. But everyone got to set their pride aside and make it right, spot on.
It's
spot
about the
on,
kids.
Coach.
Spot on.
Think
about the kids.
Coach Hill, we got from Expressions Prep tuning in. Coach Hill, we want to, Coach Hill, let us know if you can come on the show this week. We would love to have you on. You're sitting here said also educate yourself on what local people running are doing, things they should be or working the buddy system.
See, that's something you mentioned to me. I didn't know what the buddy system was until you told me about it.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's the whole situation, and that's why the same people get in office all the time. Because the same people it's getting took care of, and the same people that's being left out is being left out always. Aaron Lucas says they take our tax money for way worse things than supporting youth. What's a few dollars for such a great benefit? Agree with you, Aaron. All right, guys, as we're getting started now, let's go over. Don't know, and as we talked, everybody's dream, Bradley, is you grow up in these communities. People don't understand how these younger kids look up to these players.
They're the rock stars in the community,
Yeah. Russell Carter might as well be in Icky Woods when I was growing up. I mean, honestly, like that's the way I looked at him. He was an NFL player to me when I was a kid, and I would go to Belfry games. Here's an example. Look at Prestonsburg the other night when Prestonsburg scored a touchdown. Caught this on the sideline. Check this out. That's Marcus Hilton and Jackson Huff. These kids, they look up to these people. And, whenever these kids get to play their Sunday youth game on Mingo Central or on Tug Valley, that's like them playing the Super Bowl. They're not playing at Lenore anymore. They're playing at the big stadium. They'll never forget their memories. Guys, let's continue keeping this going on and allowing these kids to see that dreams can come true.
And tying it to Prestonsburg there, like you mentioned earlier, Dalton Elliott might as well be like Derrick Henry to those kids in Prestonsburg.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're 100% right. And you've seen how they was celebrating. You should have seen them three boys. The entire game was down there. I mean, living and dying with every play. So that's what I'm saying with Tug Valley, them kids, that's a Super Bowl when they get a play down there. And now it's probably going to be took from them again because, and justifully so, because you can't have the high school season shot because, the field ruined, on a Sunday, and then having to worry about getting it prepped for the high school game. I hope that's not the case, but, if they did, you would have to understand it, and all this could be avoided if you would just take and get the right people there and, get this done for this community. And like I said, both schools, Mingo County needs better.
Absolutely.
Darren Brewer says, you mean Kamala Harris showing up for the border for a 20-minute photo op?
Yep.
Yeah, Darren, that's a good.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about.
So, guys, this weekend, and we're going to talk about the rest. We're going to talk about the high school games here after we come back from this break here. We got a little late start, but guys, spent my weekend in Asbury in Lexington. Well, spent my Saturday there. I had to go Saturday morning, went down to Asbury as they had the Kentucky Elite Camp. Bradley, you had, I think there was 100 and maybe 2 kids, top prospects across the state of Kentucky gathered for a day of hoops at Asbury University. And, it was really neat because, you're talking about the mountain kids that was down there. Every one of them stood out. You had Connor Morrison, Corey Flancham, Jackson Kane, Jackson Estridge, Brody Little, Zaid Rash. Trying to think if there's any other. Oh, and Dalton Combs from Hazard. That was down there, and every one of them performed well. Big shout out to them. And, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Jackson Estridge as he picks up his third collegiate offer in 28 days as he picks up an offer from CU Harrodsburg. So, this is one that he's been wanting for a while. It's right outside of Lexington College, and Coach Sparrow has done a tremendous job recruiting the Mountains. He's had a ton of Mountain talent there. Mason Blair, Isaiah May, Jacob Rice, Kobe Fugit, Tyke Peterson, just to name a few that he's recruited there to CU Harrodsburg and that's played there. But, big shout out to him. Right now, I don't know that there's a player in Eastern Kentucky that's had a better summer than him. His stock has went from, 70 cents to $7, and it's all been through hard work. So congratulations to that young man for picking up his third offer.
Absolutely. The season hasn't even started yet. So I can imagine what it's going to look like maybe 10 games into the season.
Oh yeah. He's I get to see him on a daily basis. For you people that don't know, it's my son, the Coach Jones' nephew. But as this kid, when you take and look at the work that he's put in, it's good to see, because every young kid should look at him and see like dreams can come true. If you work for them, they will come true, because nothing has come easy to this kid. And, he's one that, until 2 years ago, Jackson had only been on D&D one time in the entire 8 years existence until last year. And that was because of Trent. And imagine that. But congrats to him. But I do want to show some highlights. I think this is Brody Little's highlights. Let's take a look at Brody Little from Belfry. Listen, this kid right here, Brody Little is a kid that he's on the verge of, really cementing himself back. Earlier in his career, in his 6th, 7th grade year, he was always known as one of the top 5 kids in his class, and then he ended up going to Pikeville, and listen, he got a ton better under Elijah Justice. Great move, went to Pikeville for a couple of years, got better, and now he's back home at Belfry, where he's originally from. And, there at Pikeville, people didn't get to see him as much because he was playing behind great players, and he was just a freshman, so he didn't get to play as much. So you got to see other kids in that class, have a year to where they got to showcase. And, but make no mistake about it, this kid's still a top 5 talent. Whenever I watch this kid right now, he's as good as, anybody, whenever you talk to him, top 5 players, and he had, the thing about him is he's so strong, so tough, just a hard-nosed kid. And when his ceiling is very high, people don't understand this kid a year ago, thought there was a chance that he may not play basketball again. He had something where he lost a ton of blood. I forgot what the surgery was he ended up having to have. But, for him to get back to where he's at was truly miraculous. And then to see him be one of the top performers down at this camp was unbelievable. So hats off to Brody Little, just a great performance at that KY Elite camp. And I expect a big season out of him at Belfry.
He looks like a veteran. I mean, when you told me he was a sophomore, I thought I was watching a junior or a senior playing.
No, he's listen, him and Zay Drash, they'll be together the next couple of years, both of them 2027 kids, but could not he's one that just a special he's going to be a special talent, put it that way. He's going to be a kid that you're going to be seeing his name on the headlines for many years to come. But Brody, the thing, with his game, he's just got to perfect and fine tune, because he's probably more athletic. He's got more tools than other kids got to work with. For instance, his teammate Zaid, he's the same way. He's just got good tools, good genes, good genetics. He's got good things to work with. Jackson Estridge, for instance, he has to work for everything he gets. So Brody's ahead of the curve when it comes to that point. But by the time he's a senior, he'll be one of the biggest stories in Eastern Kentucky. Bet that. But great performance there, Bradley. And then another kid I want to talk about, Pikeville Panther, Jackson Keene. He also, Jackson Keene is a kid that knows how to get to his spots, and he does it well. One of the best shooters all around at that camp. Let's take a look at some of his highlights. Not Jackson. And as we sat there and looked, Jackson Keene, I don't know that there's another kid that is as good as Jackson Keene at getting to his spots and being able to knock down. I mean, he lives and dies with the mid-range, and, I don't know there's another kid that is as good as him at getting to his spots.
That's a lost art. The mid-range, jump shot.
The mid-range game is very much fading, so it's nice when a kid really commits to it like he has.
Yeah,
you could call him like a throwback player.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of a throwback player. He's a kid that he's still got another year. It'll be interesting to see. But the thing is, he's so highly rated when he goes to these camps. Like he's already made a name for himself, and he's got a lot of people that's pulling for him. So definitely be interested to see where he continues to go, because this kid, like right now, I know he's got some Division I programs that's interested in him. I think he holds offers. I think he's got one from CU Harrisburg and maybe KCU right now. So already holds 2 offers, but and now he transferred from Eastridge to Pikeville, and at Eastridge, he was known as the primary scorer. At Pikeville, he's going to have to play a different role because he's also got Ian Knox and Eli Sykes, who are scorers in their own right. So be interesting, and that was the other thing. If Brody Little, him transferring to Belfry, he would have been the 4th scorer at Pikeville. So, they just had a long line of players there. They got so much talent they don't know what to do with, So, and Jackson Keene, I really think he's going to flourish in that Pikeville system. Yeah. So now let's take a look at Jackson Estridge's camp.
Doing pretty good at one.
Where do you learn the hook shot? That was
well, no, that's just not the reason he shoots that is because he practices that 1,000 times a day. Yesterday, I didn't get the right-handed, but posted his workouts, and that's something that his trainer works with him every single day on that hook shot. That's not normally you'd be like, why is that kid throwing that up? That's something that he 100 reps every weekend on that shot, and that's why he's perfected that shot, and that's a good shot to get over a taller player.
Absolutely. Every time I watch him, I feel like I see a different move that he has in his arsenal that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
A hook shot, there's a reason why Kareem used it all those years. It's if you get that shot down, it is very difficult to block.
I will say this, before, like everybody that's on these shows, they know, I would always, poo-poo when they would say something, now Jackson's just as good as, this kid or that kid. And I'd be like, but I'll tell you right now, and this is my honest belief, I think the kid is a top three player in this area. He has got that good. Now take the 16th region out of things, But in 14th, 15th, West Virginia, I think he's a top 3 player in that area. And, his skill wise is just a completely different level. He can score in a multitude of ways. And, like I said, it doesn't come by chance. He don't just get lucky. That kid, he spends hours upon hours a day working on his game. And now you're seeing why, he went from being a kid that nobody knew at these camps to, he might get, 2 or 3 reps here and there, and he would just try to seize the opportunity that he did get, to now when he goes, he's normally a top 5 performer at every camp he goes to. So hats off to that young man. As far as I know, he was the only kid that picked up an offer from that camp the other day. So, hats off to him. So but guys, we got a lot of football to talk about. Let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back, and we got a little bit of time to do it. So we'll be right back here on the Startup Morning Show.
Bruce Walters Kia. By now, you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
Wear a lot of hats. There are coaches, volunteers, church members, neighbors, someone who's there when you need them, especially when you need them most. That may be a lot of hats, but they're all the perfect fit. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment.
We are back here on the Startup Morning Show. This segment is brought to you courtesy of Freddie Lewis for Pike County Commissioner. Vote Freddie Lewis for a better Pike County, JJ.
Absolutely. And one thing that you'll know whenever you speak to this individual is he constantly preaches the future.
The future. That's what it's about. And Joe Kinzer says, are there any grants that Tug Valley can apply for so they can get the turf field? Well, that's where you want to start at. And I think, Nathan Brown might be who you need to talk to maybe try to see if any of that's available. He could help along with that.
Downtown Nathan Brown.
Yep. And then Darren Brewer says, Jackson, Brody, and Dalton definitely balled out Saturday. Said, my first time getting to see Jackson and Brody play. And they say first impressions are important. Well, I was totally impressed. Darren, I appreciate that more than you know. Darren is the father of Connor Morgeson. So,
really?
Yeah, and we had Connor on the show earlier in his startup career.
I'm trying to remember which one he was.
He's the kid that showed us the shoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a big collection of shoes.
Yeah. Connor, outstanding. Kid's got unbelievable range.
He's a freshman or sophomore? Or?
Freshman.
Yeah, I was going to say he was young.
Andrew Evans says Belfry's going to be fun to watch this year. Jason Blair says, what's up from Georgetown, Kentucky today? Let us know, did the AT&T strike in, Jason? Or are y'all still going on strike? Carl Little says, thanks, D&D, for the write-up on Brody. Appreciate you guys. Darren Brewer says the mid-range pull-up is the number one priority with Connor's workouts right now. Our focus is to not be one-dimensional scorer. Well, Connor definitely not a one-dimensional scorer. He can score on all 3 levels. Carl Little says Jackson did great at camp. Not only a good basketball player, but a better young man. Well, that's the thing I'm most proud of. Basketball, we definitely put a lot of emphasis on it in this household. But the thing I'm more proud of is how everybody he meets, talks about how respectable he is. So. Let's see. Joe Kendra says, shout out on the jump hook. It's unstoppable. Jason Blair says he's put in the work. That hook shot is the same as the fadeaway shot. Good. That's a good comparison.
What's most impressive is whenever he was shooting it, he makes it off the glass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No. Well, that's where he really made his mark, because in transition, he was such a good transition finisher, and known him and Braxton Keithley are the two best transition finishers there is in the region. And it's all because of, that's all him and Keithley worked on, is just different angles. Like, he can stand under the basket and he can throw it. Like, if he knows if he hits it off the corner, what spin he needs to put on it. Like, he's perfected in what areas of the backboard and how much spin. Like, it's unbelievable if you sit and watch him work out, and see actually how he does it. Like, there's a science to it. Like, he can, if he hits it under the rim, he knows how to spin it off, something that all my years of basketball, I never did perfect or learn, and I wasn't good. I wasn't even remotely good. I was, an average player. And but that kid's perfected every bit of it, and going to be fun to watch his senior year. Carl Little says all the Mountain kids play well. Agreed. Dalton Combs had an unbelievable. I thought Dalton Combs, Brody, Jackson, thought Connor Morganson, I thought Jackson Kate, all of them, every one of them played well. And Jeremy Penn says, I'm glad them boys come back home. Stephen Castador says, you got the P-Bird game this Friday. We're not sure yet what games we're doing yet, Stephen. We will, I guess, probably work on that today. So we will let you know as soon as we find out. All right, guys, as we move on, you know what time it is. It's football time, and a lot of happenings. As we said, football barely got off. On Friday because of the hurricane. A lot of games was canceled. We started seeing stuff come through. I had to pull off to the side of the road because it was, every 5 seconds I was getting this game's canceled, this game's moved, and we had to make graphics and get it out. And so we finally got to play a football game, or got to play a few football games, and then the rest of them concluded on Saturday, and then Powell County plays Fairview tonight. So, guys, here's some scores. Corbin, 51-28 over Hazard. Now, guys, the interesting thing here is everybody expected the outcome to be what it is, or maybe even larger than what it is. But at the half, Hazard in this game 22-21.
Really?
Yeah.
Hazard is much improved this year. And, hats off to them for keeping it, staying in that game for a while.
Yeah, definitely, for them to be able to play with Corbin, I don't think anybody's seen Hazard leading at half. I guarantee you could ask everybody across the state, and ain't nobody would have said Hazard had a chance to lead at the half. And listen, when you got a trio like they got with Memphis Blankenship, Pelfrey, and Gavin Johnson, you got a chance to play with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They can score with anybody. Pike Central, 32-14 over Floyd Central. Now, remember, guys, this was a big win for Pike Central because Pike Central getting a win without Jameer Knuckles. So Floyd Central drops to 0-6 on the year as you sit there and, I thought for sure Floyd Central would take advantage of Jameer Knuckles not being in, but they didn't. So the Hawks get the win, and hats off to Scott Grizzle and the Hawks. Ashland, 51-12. The Ashland 51-12 over Greenup County. Now, this game was larger than I thought. I thought Greenup County would give them a better game. I knew that it would be an uphill battle for Ashland going to the farm, but I thought for sure that it would be a lot tougher than what the scoreboard indicated. Now,
yeah,
Bradley,
I thought that game would be a lot better than it was. But.
All right. Then Breathitt County, Letcher Central. Now, JJ was at this one. This was a tough game because, we seen a lot of flooding going on, and of course they just went through that historic flood a few, or what was it, 3 years ago? They went through that flood, and they're just now repairing from that. So prayers was definitely going out to that community. But, I didn't know if that game would end up being played or not, guys, because, I know things can get rough over there whenever the rain, whenever the waters get heavy, and somehow they got it off and got to play it. And JJ, you got to go cover that game. I was shocked because some of the videos that you was sending me, I was worried about you making it there. It come close to me telling you just turn around and forget it. But right here, that was the main highway, JJ. But you made it there.
Yeah, and it was a tough situation, but at the end of the day, we're a sports network that takes pride in being able to cover all of the games, regardless of whether the weather's good or whether it's bad. And Letcher County, they put on a really good performance, and from start to finish, they were they were dominant. I guess that's an understatement.
Yeah, and everybody thought that it would be a lot tougher, game than what it was. Because Breathitt County coming off that big win over Hazard, upsetting Hazard the week before, and then you take a look at Letcher. This just shows when Letcher's 100% healthy, Letcher is a hard team to deal with.
Every time I watch Letcher, my first question is, who in the world beat this team? Whenever I look at their record and then I'm watching them play, I'm seeing how the running backs and how the quarterbacks and everybody's playing, and they just look so dominant. So, I'm really surprised that they've even lost a game, to be honest with you.
Well, they and Corbin Johnson being back definitely helps. The story coming out of Letcher, is Gunnar Holbrook. In this game here, Gunnar Holbrook ended up passing 8 for 11, 198 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then, let's see, Brett Smith ended up carrying the ball 6 times for 81 yards and 2 scores. Corbin Johnson. Now, I still don't see Corbin on the they said that they was 100% healthy, but I don't see Corbin on the stat sheet. Now, Quentin Williams in this game carried the rock 3 times for 18 yards and a score. And then, let's see, he also led the team in tackles with 6 tackles.
Yeah.
So hats off to them. And, guys, remember, we talked about Gunnar Holbrook coming back from a broken back. He played 6 games last year, was 37 for 68, 768 yards, and 10 touchdowns. This season, he is 60 for 107, 1,024 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Right now, I mean, this kid's having a miraculous season coming back from the broken back. So, and Breathitt County, I know you got a chance to see, and we said, Breathitt County has got one of the #1 wideouts in the mountains in Austin Sperry. And
Jesus, that kid is tough.
I don't know if he broke the record the other night. I think he went into the game 167 yards away from being the all-time leading receiver at Breathitt County, and he took a year off.
That's insane. And it was like one of the first plays of the game, he caught like a 78-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then on defense, he was having interceptions and all that.
Yeah.
So definitely.
But what was crazy about that game, it seemed like every single play was a highlight play. Like every single touchdown, every single interception, every single fumble, it was a highlight. I remember there was one interception that was thrown where, it was batted off of one of this kid's hands, and then the other guy caught it. And if you just saw the play, it was ESPN top 10 play.
I agree 100%. And, I watched it, and we're going to have the highlights on Crunch Time. So make sure you tune in for that. And big shout out to Gary Justice. We had the voice of UPOC joining us.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I've been very blessed the last couple of games that I've had the privilege of covering. I've had a lot of, really good commentators, Joe Kenser.
Yep.
You know, he's taught me a lot. You know, the voice of Pikeville. I mean, and
Zach Anderson.
Yeah, I've had so many
Ronnie
people.
and Eugene.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've had opportunity to learn from a lot of people, and you know, they're really good, and I can understand why they've been doing it for so long.
Well, those are the best announcers we got, so you've learned from the best.
Absolutely.
Then Raceland 29-7 over Newport Central Catholic. That was a big win for the Rams. They needed that. They improved 2-3 on the season, Bradley.
Yeah, you know, and we know Raceland's talented, so it's good to see him get a win there over Newport Central Catholic, which is always, you know, a good program. Landry
Collette ended up having another big game, 26-20 win over Paintsville. Paintsville falls to 1-5. Do we know if A.J. Johnson played in that game, Bradley?
Let me see, Darryl, if I can pull that up. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll check on the KHSAA site. Wow.
Yeah, as Bradley looks that up, you know, Paintsville, you know, this was tough because at the beginning of the year, you know, we seen remnants of a really good team at Paintsville. And, of course, I know their last two games, you know, listen, the schedule, whenever they don't have A.J. Johnson, they're not the same team. You know, and that's obvious. You know, he's the quarterback, you know, and he's a dynamic quarterback. So, you know, if he didn't play in that, you know, that was still a big game. But 26-20, I would think for them to put up 20, he probably did play.
It does not look like he played, Darryl.
Wow. So you know, I mean, we're not in the moral victories in this sport, but for them to play Leslie that close without him, you know, that was a nice win. Did it say who was quarterback?
Yeah, they had Lawfer at quarterback.
Oh, wow. And, well, Anderson Lawfer, now you take Anderson Lawfer. The reason Anderson Lawfer's quarterback is because he's the best athlete on the field. Yep. And, you know, sometimes you just have to put your best athlete back there at QB and hope for the best. But he's also an elite wide receiver, you know, a lot like Coach Jones.
Yeah.
You know, same thing. So right now, Coach Hoskins and Coach Jones, I'm sure that Coach Hoskins could reach out to Coach Jones for some advice right now and
making adjustments.
Yeah, on making adjustments with your best wideout being the quarterback.
Yeah.
Stephen Castor says A.J. Johnson's out for the season.
Dang, man, that's a hard hit.
Horrible.
Yeah, I hate that for that kid, man. AJ's such a good kid. Yep. The Perry Central takes care of Martin County 31-14. And, you know, this game went about like I thought it would. You know, Martin County, you know, we know that, listen, I'll tell you right now, guys, if you just look roster to roster, talent for talent, I would put Martin County up against anyone. Mm-hmm. But right now, they just got to get things coming together and clicking. You know, because they got two unbelievable athletes in Devin Maynard and Parker Watts. Mm-hmm. And then you got Braden Eastep doing what he's doing on defense. You got the Julian, the little wideout that is having a miraculous season. Mm-hmm. And then you got Bones Lafferty, who is dominating on the defensive side. You know, this Martin County team, they'll have a chance to spoil Prestonsburg's undefeated season on Monday. Now, that's going to be an interesting, guys, because if you remember last year, Prestonsburg's head coach, Wes Hager, was Martin County's OC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me. You remember the Super Bowl back in the day when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played against the Raiders?
Yeah.
And it was John Gruden versus his old team? That's kind of what that reminds me of.
Well,
but you were definitely right last week whenever we were talking about the Martin County and Perry Central game. And, you know, I was telling that I wanted them to try to get 2 touchdowns for 100-plus yards. And you said, I don't know, that Perry Central defense is really, really good.
Yeah, they was tough. But, you know, and that's a tough place to play up there, too, especially when the elements are bad. Coach Jones, if he's still watching, he can attest to that. When it's windy and it's rainy up there, you know, we went up there, covered a game, and it was just mildly windy, and it blew our tent off the top of the bleachers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, tough situation there. So, let's see. Now, that takes us to Betsy Lane and Prestonsburg. That's the game that he was at. Listen, this game right here was like 2 heavyweight boxers just throwing haymakers back and forth. Really good ball game from start to finish. Couldn't ask for a better game. And Floyd County, guys, has 3 of the best running backs in the mountains in Floyd County. And Alex Harris, Dalton Elliott, and Andrew McCutcheon.
Do we have any highlights we can, or is that for Thursday?
No, we do, but anyways, they when you take and look at this team, Bryce Holbrook is controlling the offense really well. Just a sophomore, but he makes veteran plays. When you take his experience, he's really good at the hard count. And I talked to Wes Hager before this game, and Wes Hager told me, he said we're going to win this game. And I said, you that confident? He said we've watched film. He said the difference is going to be, he said, we're a more disciplined team. He said, we've only turned the ball over one time, and he said that was our backup quarterback that threw an intercept, or it was a trick play. Alex Harris was credited with the interception. And he said, we don't turn the ball over. And he said, we're very disciplined. He said, penalties, he said, we're really good at not getting penalties. He said, and he said, that gives us a leg up against everybody. He said, we've watched Betsy Lane. He said, and, penalties and not being disciplined has kept other teams in games where Betsy Lane should have blew them out. He said, I feel really good about this game. And, credit, listen, it went back and forth. And if you guys don't know, Betsy Lane's head coach, Darryl, and Wes Hager was teammates at Prestonsburg at one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, this was a very heated rivalry when you talk about these two programs, and you should have seen the atmosphere there. It was insane to see how many fans was there. It's been a long time since I've seen that many people at a Prestonsburg football game, and that just tells you how this community is rallying behind this undefeated Prestonsburg squad. So Bradley, Alex Harris was the player of the game in that one. Do you got his stats in front of you?
No, but I have the wonderful KHSAA site that I can be there in just like a minute because I'm on Paintsville right now. So.
Well, as you look at it, we'll look at the highlights, and Bradley will have the stats when we come back.
Goes quarterback sneak. He's in there.
And let's see.
He's in there.
Did he get it?
Oh, I hear him. Oh, somebody jumped like early. But they didn't call it. They let it go.
It looked like me. Nice job. Alex Harris on the sideline.
Look here.
He's got room. Finally caught down at the 20. Alex Harris. Yard line. Parsons puts Allen in motion. Hands it off. McCutcheon cuts middle. Cuts outside. Touchdown. Bobcats. He turned around. Nice handoff. And Alex Harris. Touchdown. Blackcats. Let's see here.
Shotgun.
Interesting play call. McCutcheon, he is hit, but bounces off. He's got room. He's down the sideline. What a man to beat. He's across the 10. 5. Touchdown, Bobcats.
Oh, they're going Elliott. Straight pitch to Elliott. He runs. He's in. Is he in? Touchdown, Blackcats. Kick is away, a little deeper this time. Oh, here he goes. He could go all the way. Touchdown! Here's Harris. He breaks it. He's loose. Touchdown! Parsons takes a snap. McCutcheon cuts it up, pops it out. Look here, he's still going. He's still going. He's still going. Is it? Here we go. They fake Elliott up the middle. Nice cut back. Nice. Oh, he stays on his feet. Touchdown! Backfield in the backfield. Elliott in motion. They hand it off to Elliott outside. He's got it. Did they call a hold? No. Touchdown! Breaking their personal best. He's your player of the game. Parsons rolling to his left. Here he goes. Oh, he's got running room. He cuts it up. 5, 3, 2, 1.
And as we are back here, just a big game, as you could see both sides, man. You seen going back and forth. Offenses was clicking. I thought for sure that the size of Betsy Lane would be the difference, and it would take its toll on Prestonsburg. But listen, the old additive is speed kills, and Betsy Lane's size, Prestonsburg really never had a problem with their size. It's just too much speed on the field for Prestonsburg.
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but wasn't Prestonsburg my survivor pick?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was. So the JJ stays alive as picks survivor pick, and I think we all stand. Bradley,
I'm out of good teams. I've got one last really good team left in the chamber that I'm keeping for later.
But you keep saying you're saving them to the playoffs. That's not a good strategy.
I mean,
you want to get them there in district play when there's a blowout, because when it's playoffs, it's 50-50.
Hey, I'm pretty confident in my pick is good. I'm pretty confident they're gonna.
He still ain't caught on the survivor, Bradley.
So wait a minute.
Well, he may not, but he's winning, so we're
he's still alive,
for now,
by the hair of his chinny chin chin. Now, do you got the stats for us?
Yes, I do. So Alex Harris had 33 carries for 248 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Dalton Elliott had 20 carries for 136 yards and 3 touchdowns. But overall, Prestonsburg ran 63 times for 423 yards and 6 touchdowns.
They huge rushing day on the ground for Prestonsburg, and that's what they had to do. Alex Harris was a man amongst boys out there. As you know, every time you turned around, he was taking one to the house. I don't know. I left at halftime, and KJ and Justin McCoy finished the game out. But I know up to the point that I left, Prestonsburg hadn't punted the ball. And, just a very, very good outing for the Black Cats. And the Bobcats, they can get a blemish on their record now. So we'll see if Prestonsburg can continue this thing out and go undefeated in the regular season. They got over one of the speed bumps. Now, let's see here. Let me put the scoreboard back up. What game we got next? Tulsa at Calhoun County. Bradley, this game right here, it went the way we thought it would.
It did. And, something impressive about Tulsa is they've given up 27 points all year, and 21 of those in the first game against Wayne. So in their 3 wins, they've given up a total of 6 points.
Wow.
So
I'm telling you, Coach Thompson right now has them playing great football there. I think right now everybody is counting the days down to that matchup in Naugatuck.
It's not in Naugatuck. It's up in Glen Hayes.
It's at Tulsa?
It's at Tulsa, and it's coming this weekend.
Oh, wow. So there we go. Man, how nice would it be if we could actually cover Tulsa?
I'm telling you, that's going to be. I mean, it's going to be one of the top games in the state of West Virginia this week. It's turned out, like Tulsa has really come on, and Tug Valley is going to be ranked number 1. I think Tulsa looks like they're projected to be 14th when that game is played.
And JJ, I know you're probably not quite as aware of it, but Tulsa and Tug Valley is probably the most heated rivalry game in the mountains.
Honestly, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me just because of how close they are to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. I'd be curious to know how many kids from Tulsa go to Tug Valley and how many from Tug Valley actually
Not a
go.
lot. Not a lot.
Yeah. There have been some.
No, them communities, you grow up, you're born and bred Tug Valley or Tulsa, and you're not going to go to – if you're from Tulsa and you're interested in transferring, Tug Valley ain't on your list.
Man, that bad?
Yeah. And,
Gideon Jarvis brings up a good point. They weren't able to play in things for years. There was a really big fight the first year the school's open, and a really big fight. So they were not allowed to play each other for years.
I would love to know if Gideon knows what's the record between the two teams, like the last 3 or 4 games that they played, like who's got the lead.
Well, the last 3 or 4, Tug Valley is probably 3-0. I'd say Tulsa.
Tug in recent years, but there were some years too where Tulsa absolutely where Tulsa ruled that series. So it was
because didn't Tulsa go to the state championship a couple years ago?
Yeah, I mean, Tug just they're not. Tug just really, got back to being good with Tony Koleski, and then Haiti has took it to a completely different level.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Tug had a lot of down years there.
A lot of down years, a lot of really bad years, and Tulsa had some good years, but there was also some of those years where they just couldn't play. They weren't allowed to play. It was it's about 10 years or so where they weren't allowed to play each other in anything.
Adam Hill says, everyone have a great day. Good luck this week. Boys, get in touch. Said he'll come on talk ball anytime. We'll definitely
absolutely.
We'll have Bradley get a hold of him.
I already shot a message over to Coach Hill.
All right. Whitey Little says JJ did a great job helping call this game. Believe he needs a raise.
Yeah.
Listen, how much are you paying Whitey Little?
Man, that's
what I want to know.
That's my main man. He's always been in my corner.
Him
and my boy Joe.
Whitey's over there, being like serving as JJ's agent.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Yeah, he's wanting commission off that. Yeah.
I got to get my commission first.
Yeah. Eric Holbrook says that's last week's stats. The game last week. Did you send me this week, Eric? Let me know. And then Carl Whitey Little says love Gunner's game. They're talking about Letcher's Gunner Holbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a kid that he's got to if Gunner Holbrook continues to stay healthy and no reason to think he won't, if he continues to come back from that injury like he has, this is a kid that could be the best quarterback in the mountains come his senior year. He's that good.
I'll tell you what, and one thing that I could take away from that game, I just want to throw it out there. I believe it was the opposing team that had a freshman quarterback and a freshman running back.
Yeah.
So I had a chance to witness the future, and I'll tell you what, that quarterback was really poised.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he is really good.
And the running back was really good as well. I mean, both of them were phenomenal. I mean, you give him maybe one more year.
You said opposing team. Do you remember who you played?
Breathitt County.
Yeah. Stephen Castador says A.J. Johnson is out for the season. Says Martin the other day was closer than the score indicated. Christy Watts says Parker got 2 passes the whole night. Well, listen, you've got to get that fixed.
I was going to say 2 passes that he caught or 2 passes that were thrown to him.
Probably 2 attempts.
2 targets.
Joe Kinder says Betsy Lane ran 16 plays in the second half. And that just showed Prestonsburg controlled. I don't even think they had the ball in the third quarter. I think that they run the kickoff back, but I don't think that they got to run a play in the third quarter. That just tells you, that running game, right now Wes Hager and them calling a great game. That's why he is known as one of the more JJ, have you not learned yet that when you point at that phone, it throws me off everything that I'm trying to talk about and look at, and I'm going through comments. I will get to the comments.
Just throwing that out there.
JJ does that all the time to me. He'll point at the phone, Bradley, and and instead of telling me at break, he'll point at the phone. And anybody that knows me knows I can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time.
See, I was giving you more credit. I was giving you more credit for having the ability to do that.
So. No. Whenever you take my attention off something, it throws me completely off because I cannot think what I'm saying from one sentence to the next.
Do you have a slight case of ADHD as well?
Yeah, no. No, I don't. But what was I even talking about? Oh, I was talking about that Prestonsburg Gown game. That's why Wes Hager is known as one of the most innovative play callers in high school football. Is he's just ahead of his game, man. If he needs to pass it, he'll pass it. If he needs to run it, he'll run it. And he really controlled the clock and kept the ball away from that high-powered Betsy Lane offense.
So realistically, with the way that Prestonsburg's playing, like what do you see their end game at the end of the season? Like, do you see them state semifinals, second round of the play, Prestonsburg? With how well they're playing right now.
I think they. I think maybe third round playoffs. Second, probably the I don't know that I don't think 2A is a unbelievably tough class. So I don't know whether they'll have a chance at 2A, but that I do think that they could make a couple rounds into the playoffs. So, and then Stephen Castledor says, wait till Friday night when the Cards roll over there and win the game and spoil their season. Then Carolyn Alvin Spears says, do my golfing. I don't know who they play this week. Let us know. Well, yeah, I did. Lawrence County, I think, is who they play. Then Gideon Jarvis says, wasn't able to play for years. Said not a lot of transfers, more so you're playing against the cousins you see at the family reunion. Now, that's a good way to explain it, Gideon. And Joe Kinzer says Tulsa leads the series 12-6.
Oh, wow.
So the 12-6. So Tuck Valley's got some ground to make up. Christy Watts says that was 2 passes was thrown to him.
Yeah, they got to fix that.
And Gideon Jarvis says, tell us how that rivalry has looked lately.
Uh-oh.
There you go. It starts, Bradley.
It's only Monday. Come on.
Yeah. It's going to be a good 5 days of there's going to be some back and forth on that one.
Yeah,
it is. And
I want to see this game live.
Then let's see, Man and Greenbrier West. Greenbrier West ends up winning 19-12. Man played them a lot closer than we thought, Bradley.
It might. I see David Thompson giving a little fire back. I love it. Let's get that going. But
it might change Friday.
but no, listen, yeah, a little closer than we thought. I did find out Greenbrier West played a little bit of a heavy heart. The middle school coach passed away the day before.
Oh, wow.
That game.
Yeah, I hate to hear that.
So, I know we do have a few friends over that area as well. So,
ain't that where we done that article about that kid that went to the Army?
The 2 young men, there were 2 of them.
Yeah.
And all of that. So,
then Point Pleasant and Mingo got canceled on Friday. It was rescheduled for Saturday, and then power went out at Mingo. So they ended up not getting to play that one. So I know Coach Jones is working tirelessly right now to try to find a replacement for that game. So, hopefully Mingo can get a replacement game. They bye week next week. If anybody knows anybody that's got a bye week, make sure that you reach out to Coach Jones. Nitro blows out Wayne, Jesus. And I did not see that.
I didn't see that extent. I thought Nitro would win because I knew Wayne had some injuries in the secondary.
Yeah.
But 52-6. I don't know if any of us saw that.
Well, the Chapmanville loses to Scott 41-7. I know Chapmanville played with them there for a minute. And then Scott ended up, again, their speed just took a toll on Chapmanville.
Yeah, Scott has so much speed all over the place. Nate Easterling had 3 passing touchdowns, 173 yards. Then Carson Brenniger, he does a little bit of everything for Scott.
Yeah.
He had 8 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. He had 5 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. And they just kind of put him a bit all over the place. But
well, that's the good part about having Carson Brenniger. He's kind of a trick of all trades. He's that Swiss Army knife.
He is, and he'll score. He's the type of kid who might score on like a run, a pass. He'll intercept. He's had interception returns for touchdowns, kick returns. He scores in every way you can think of. Probably steals concessions at the half. Just a great all-around player for the Skyhawks.
Well, keep doubting Spring Valley. Spring Valley gets another big win and spoils G-Dub's undefeated season with a 28-18 win.
I'm just saying this: whenever I predict Spring Valley to win, they lose. When I predict them to lose, they win. So whatever I decide to predict this week, if just bet the house on the other side. You're good.
Well, I picked their last 3 wins. So the Winfield, they blow out Logan. Both teams set at 2-2. This is kind of how how I thought the game would go. I thought that Logan, listen, Winfield is a really good football team, and Logan's an up-and-coming football team, but I thought them winning the game against Poca, I thought this was kind of one of them trap games. I thought, they were still maybe on a high from the Poca game, and, it takes a team like Winfield to bring you back down, right, Bradley?
Yeah, Winfield's a tough one, man. And I'm sure Winfield was smarting a little bit too after they lost to Wayne the week before. And I think, you have a really good team that's looking to get back on track, and you have Logan coming off a big upset win the week before. It was a tough situation there.
Seth Cox tuning in. Gracie and Tate Merchandise tuning in. Appreciate you tuning in, Seth. He was the reason that Scott was able for a long time to be able to end up getting the coverage they did was because of Seth. And we definitely want to give a shout out to Coach Dolan getting the stats in this week. That way, it's a big game this coming week because they got Mingo Central, and it was good they go ahead and get that win, get it took care of. But you're right, Easterling can become more accurate. Scott is a team that can make a deep run in the playoffs. I agree with you.
Absolutely. Scott has all kinds of speed and weapons, man.
Now, Bradley, tell us about Belfry 41-0 over McGoffin County.
Well, of course, Belfry came into the game. I'm finding my story here, Darryl. Belfry came into the game, without Varney at quarterback, and Tristan Chapman took over the duties, and he performed well. He was, I want to say, as I'm pulling up, 5 of 6 for 80 yards and a touchdown. But Belfry did what Belfry does. They ran over McGoffin County. J.J. Austin had 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then they had everyone kind of chipped in a bit, right? You had Woolham had a touchdown catch. Caden Varney had a few catches for 57 yards, and Belfry. I think this was kind of how we expected this one to go.
Yeah. I agree. Johnson Central slaughters Boyd County 42-12. I thought that game would be a lot tougher, but good to see Maddox Bryant back and 100% back from his injury and healthy, as he had a solid game running the football. Seen some highlights from him, but just a big win. Johnson Central needed that because now they're going into this coming week's game with Corbin on a high. And as we've seen, Hazard played them close. So all of a sudden, it looks like there's some chinks in that Corbin's armor that Johnson Central can take advantage of. And we got, let's see, Ryan and Kim Bryant says, what do we think about this week's game? Well, we don't want to give too much away because we're going to get into that on Wednesday. But, just right now, what I can tell you is I think this game is going to be closer than what I originally thought it was going to be. After watching Hazard maybe exploit them a little bit, now you got some film out there of how to beat them.
I agree completely.
Yeah, the Jenkins Eastridge 50-6. The Warriors take care of the Cavaliers. Jenkins still searching for their first win of the season. Then let's see, we got Lawrence County with a very close win, 19-18 over Estill County. That was a big game. And listen, the Featheroff kid at quarterback, man, he continues to have a big season. He's probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the mountains. he's going to be a kid before it's over. He's going to get his time to shine, and I expect a big second half of the year for him. Then Bath County 42-12 over Lewis County. Hats off to Coach Brewer. Then you got Pikeville 28-7 over GRC. That was a game that Pikeville was originally scheduled. Who was they originally scheduled to play, Bradley?
Oh gosh, I can't.
They was originally scheduled to play. I thought about it too quick. Harlan County. They was originally scheduled to play Harlan County, and that game got canceled. And then GRC last minute, Coach Cherico, I guess, was on a bye week, and it just was a match made in heaven because both them programs had a strong history. Both of them head coaches of playing each other and having utmost respect for each other, as Coach Cherico coached Paintsville for years and was in the same district as Pikeville. And he bailed Pikeville out, and good to see them boys get that game in. But remember, GRC beat Belfry, and Pikeville beats GRC. So as Pikeville continues to get healthy, looks like they're getting back to their same powerful state as they normally are. And I still think they're your odds-on favorite to win Class A.
I absolutely still think they're the odds-on favorite to win Class A. I tell you, it's not a shocker they beat GRC. It is a bit of a surprise they beat them by 3 scores.
Yeah, that's me. I the way that it went, it surprised me. And then we got Russell 36-0 over Fleming County. Fleming County, surprisingly, still searching for their first win of the year. And Russell, in kind of that third year of a rebuilding process. And right now they're looking really good this year. E-Town beat Shelby Valley 49-44. JJ, you was at this one. E-Town jumped out to a 26-0 lead. And Shelby Valley made the magical comeback, took the lead, and exchanged it a couple times there, but E-Town just too much at the end of the day.
The interesting thing to me, that stood out to me, was Elizabethtown jumped out to this lead within like the first 7 minutes of the first quarter. And me and one of my coworkers was talking about, the rule on how many points you have to score to do a running clock.
Yeah.
And we were under the impression that that's what it was going to look like. But then second quarter, third quarter hits, at one point, Shelby Valley actually took the lead.
Yeah.
And, it was a high scoring game, and it was really entertaining. And another thing I want to give a shout out to with Shelby Valley was their defense. I counted 3 interceptions. There might have been a little bit more, but that's the one thing that kept them in the game was their defense.
Yeah. And the thing was, up to that point, it looked like that was kind of their Achilles heel was their defense. Yeah. So hats off for the defense stepping up. I know in that game, Brady Johnson had a big game, but
I got the statistics right here. He had 9 pass completions. He went 9 for 16 for 251 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow. And then hats off to Peyton Combs, who had 4 receptions for 188 yards and 2 scores. Was it 2 touchdowns or 3? 3 touchdowns for Peyton Combs. Yeah. So big day for the wideout there. And, Shelby Valley, they're a team, man, that, they haven't been healthy all year. I can tell you this, they're probably the best 0-6 team that you'll see in the state.
Their record doesn't reflect how good they are.
No, I agree. And Ryan and Kim Bryant said slobber knocker do. I agree. Listen, that's where, if I didn't have to do a game, that's where I would be on Friday night, would be Johnson Central. That game against Corbin should be a tough one. And then West Carter. Now, this game right here was rescheduled for 5 o'clock on Saturday. Then on Saturday, we got the news it was being moved up to 7:30. And guess what? They didn't have to play at West Carter. They got to play at Morehead State. So, cool story there as the Battle of the Barrel won by East Carter. And, guys, if you remember, I told you, East Carter and West Carter is in the midst of a consolidation. And, whichever coach, there was a lot of weight on who won this game because, a lot of people are going to be pulling for that coach to get the head coaching job at the new school. So, and listen, you got two great coaches at them two schools. So you can't go wrong either way. But, Coach Champ gets a little leg up on Coach Barker with the win there. Then Tug Valley, and I told Bradley that Tug Valley would take care of business, 48-6 over Morgan County. Bradley, looks like you're wrong again. Tug Valley stays undefeated and rolls over Morgan County at Morgan County.
I think you've got that a little bit reversed there, Darryl. Yeah.
Oh, JJ was the one. JJ picked. I forgot about that. JJ picked Morgan County.
Hey, I'm picking Tug Valley to win state. Come on now.
I said, I had my whole pick, and but this game, they had the run clock going in the second quarter.
They did.
They had it. It was 35-0 in the second quarter, and they started the running clock. It's not a game where there were eye-popping stats just because Tug was able to spread it out. And, well, you know how it is when the running clock's going early, there's not a lot of game to be played. And
no.
But Preston May did, complete 13 of 23 passes for 206 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he also had 44 yards rushing and a touchdown. But just a little bit of a spread out, and boy, they got out to the big lead, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, well, it's good to see. Good to see the Panthers stay on top, and that was a big point game for them too.
A huge point game because Morgan County counts as AAA points in the West Virginia rating system, plus those 2 wins. And whoever else Morgan County beats from here on out will be more, but that's a 14-point win, which is huge in single A. You get one of those. The funny thing is, Tug Valley could beat Tulsa this week, and not fall in another place, but their total ranking could drop a little bit just because this is just such a high number. For a single A team to get in a week.
Gideon Jarvis says, great folks in Morgan County, though, said very welcoming host. Morgan County, I knew they had a lot of trouble with the weather, too, so it's good that game got off, Gideon. And, I'm tickled to death for the Panthers. I wanted them to win, but I just thought it'd be too much. But listen, these boys showed, they're legit. They're for real, and we'll see on Wednesday. We'll predict the Tulsa and Tug Valley game, so that'll be interesting.
That one, I tell you what, man, Tulsa has come along. That's going to be a tough one to predict.
Yeah, it will. So that rounds out our games there. Guys, did you see this? South Charleston Riverside lines up for a 97-yard field goal. And South Charleston returns it back for a 40-yard kickoff return. Bradley, listen, we all know that why you would do it. I mean, technically, I guess, you can return it. We seen Alabama. Was it Alabama and Auburn back a few years ago whenever the Auburn returned the kickoff?
Yeah, the kick 6. I can still hear my father-in-law screaming, yeah.
Yeah, 106 yards to the end zone and won the game. But, that right there, that's something that I've never seen in high school football is that attempted a 97-yard field goal, JJ.
Wonder how close he got to it.
Not close.
No, he got 40-yard kickoff return. So
40 yards is,
no. He 40-yard return. So, if it was a 40-yard return, Bradley, calculate that for us.
So I'm seeing they're snapping the ball there. It looks like around the 19 or so. So you take it from there. But, so then you go back another, that's the 15. He's set up at about the 13. So the ball traveled about 27 yards, give or take, in the air.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just in my house, like, okay, if he kicked it, because obviously we know he's not going to be close. But I'm like, well, if he kicks a field goal in the future, how far would he be good for?
No, he'd be good for probably about 12.
He's good for an extra point.
Yeah, there you
go. But It's the whole thing with the National Federation of High Schools. Their rules are basically they treat a field goal almost like a punt unless it goes through.
Remember the Alabama Auburn game years ago?
JJ, have you not watched the show? JJ is not listening to us, Bradley. We literally just talked about the Alabama Auburn game. What is this dude doing over here? Bradley, you have to get JJ.
You got to give him more coffee or something, man. Like, swing by somewhere on the way in.
Waddy Little says this guy needs a raise.
I agree with him.
We literally just sat and talked about the Alabama Auburn game, and then you said, "Do you remember the Alabama Auburn game?"
Well, I was thinking of a different Alabama Auburn game.
No, you was thinking about the same one.
I was thinking of the one from 2015. What one was you?
That's same exact one. We just talked about it.
Okay, so we're on the same page.
Yeah, the guy who caught the ball and ran it back, and I'm gonna go win the football game.
Did you hear him? He said, "I'm just making sure we're on the same page."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
The guys,
we are too. It's one of them. It's Monday.
Gideon Jarvis says TikTok started this trend. TikTok started a lot of trends.
Apparently, there's a TikTok video where a team did this and it worked out really well for them. Didn't work out well here.
This is about as smart as the Tide Pod trend in my book.
It might be a little bit smarter than the Tide Pod trend.
Well,
just a tad bit.
I'm just saying, it's kind of hard to defend a return.
It is
formation,
and the tough part is, listen, if you're going to do that, why not just go for it and throw a Hail Mary or something, and at least get the ball a little bit further if it's intercepted and brought back, than just giving up the possession. I don't understand why you just wouldn't go for it on that.
I would imagine you could throw the ball further than he kicked it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because you said the kick was good for 27 yards. So I would imagine.
So in theory, if no one had picked up the ball, it would have served like a punt. I just don't understand why not just punt.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Either punt, but before I kick off, I'm just going to go for it.
Ah, man, listen, I don't know what that coach was thinking, but I know he's not going to do it again.
He wasn't thinking, is what he was doing.
I know he learned a valuable lesson on this past weekend.
Yeah, well, what it done is it made his program kind of a laughing stock, and that's not fair to the kids because they do gotta. It's just tough, but it's a tough situation. I mean,
I can't imagine that kicker.
The old adjective is you know what they say: any publicity is good publicity, and at least you're being talked about.
but I mean, that's. It's just unfortunate that it's always the stuff like that goes viral.
Yeah. It does suck. And Carl Whitey Little says, JJ, straighten your act up. Said, you are making me look bad, son.
Yeah.
So,
chop.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, if Carl Whitey Little says I got to straighten up, then I definitely got to straighten up.
What was you thinking about when we was talking about that?
I blacked out. I'm not going to watch it. Yeah.
Bradley,
anytime Bam is brought up, if you hear me mention my father-in-law, it's probably because Bama was brought up because he was a Bama grad.
The internet was down on your side, and I couldn't really hear you that well. You was like going in and out, so I only heard bits and pieces.
He's lying. Yeah, I heard you well, Bradley.
Well, you got better hearing than I did.
Actually, I was the one that brought it up. It wasn't Bradley, and I'm sitting right beside you.
You clearly got better vision than I do too with them brand new prescriptions you got on.
But I was the one that brought it up and said it. So I'm sitting here right beside you. My internet wasn't messing up.
Are you sure?
But as we go on, Bradley, tell us about the Ashland Lady Kittens.
Yeah, man. The Ashland Kittens are number one in volleyball in the Kentucky RPI, and we believe, and I did see a dispute on this, so I'm not sure how to go back and look at it.
Well,
But
it said that somebody said that Pikeville finished in 2020, but I don't know if I quite believe that, because the Ashland coach that sent us this was the one that told us, and he was the head coach of Pikeville at the time.
so he would have known.
Yeah.
He would have known. So they may be thinking of something else, which can happen. You can sometimes get a little confused on what was what. I've done that before. Probably did it today.
Well, what about this young lady? Who is that?
And her name is escaping me at the moment, but she also for Ashland volleyball. Let me.
Bradley's going to find it. But listen, volleyball, a lot of people don't understand in volleyball, it's dominated by Western Kentucky. And the western part of the state is huge volleyball. And when you take a look, really, to put it in perspective, there's never been a private or a public school win a state title in volleyball. It's all been private schools, and most of them Sacred Heart. Really? There's a couple schools that dominate volleyball, and so that's why it's very rare. I know Boyd County had a chance to make a run last year, end up falling just a little bit short, but it's good to see this Ashland team. And listen, you couldn't find a better coach than Jason Clark. So hats off to the Kittens, number one. But tell us about this young lady, Brad.
All right. Well, and this is Grace Clark.
Yep. Daughter.
She got her 3,500th career assist recently, and she's currently 8th in the KHSA in assists, and she is going to be going to U-Pike next year to continue playing volleyball. So congratulations to her.
That's a huge pickup for the Bears. Huge.
3,500 assists is a ton in a career.
And the reason she's going to U-Pike is the connections that he made and she made during their time in Pikeville. He was beloved at Pikeville. The kids loved Coach Clark. So hats off to him and the work that they're doing. So, guys, we have run short on time. We know we didn't do the blind draw today. Well, we'll do one more really quick. Bradley, Leanne Jackson picks up another offer from Capital. So hats off to this young lady having a big off season. Come in. She will be the number one ranked player in the 15th region.
And she's going to have a breakout year this year. I know she has been on a very talented Pikeville team and, has had taken a bit of a back seat because of the other talent that's on that team. But this is going to be her year, and she's going to shine.
You are 100% right. This girl will dominate this season in the 15th region. So hats off to Leanne. And we'll talk tomorrow. We just got another girl, a Prestonsburg Black Cat, picked up an offer. We'll get that out to you ASAP after the show. But, guys, we want to thank you guys for joining in, starting your morning with us. Guys, we got a ton of stuff to talk about tomorrow morning. You want to join us right back here on the Startup Morning Show. Hopefully, my man JJ, we can wake him up here, Bradley. If we can get JJ awake, we'll be all right.
We got this.
Just swing by the tug, fork, and spoon on the way in. Get you a coffee.
Yeah, there you go.
Give me some Starbucks.
Dodge the hot two of Granny's, and then come on.
Yeah, the last time he was there, he got hot tooed, Bradley. So
yeah, I got to go back there.
Tell my cousin Roger Lee that I sent you. He might give you a nickel discount or something. And
there you go.
I shouldn't be saying that. I don't want to be promising any discounts.
Listen, you heard that. Bradley said everybody that goes in and talk the Tug, Fork, and Spoon, tell Roger Lee that Bradley said a 5% discount.
No, I said a nickel.
No, we heard exactly what he said.
I'm all about discounts too, so I'm getting mine today.
JJ walking in like, excuse me, should be a nickel less.
Yeah,
I got my coupons today, and I got my main man Bradley.
There we go. But guys, it's been another great show here on the Startup Morning Show. We appreciate you guys starting the morning with us each and every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we hope you guys come back and join us in the morning. Once again, we want to thank Punk's Tires, Freddie Lewis for Pike County Commissioner, Tug Valley Wellness Clinic, Quality Metal Roofing, Bray and Oakley, and Hatfield Funeral Home for sponsoring today's show.
Absolutely.
Guys, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Until then, so long and good day.